No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Friday Night Smackdown for Friday, June 16th, 2023. Quite the ending to this week's Smackdown. We'll get to that here in just a few moments. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. Please spread the word, tell a friend. Either way, much appreciation to let people know about the live stream and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. All right, let's get into SmackDown. We had footage shown from last week's show, Jey Uso and all that drama with the Bloodline. We had Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman arriving. They would not comment on the situation with Jey Uso in regards to Jey Uso making his decision. Is he staying with the Bloodline or is he aligning himself with Jimmy Uso? We had our first match of the evening, which was a gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders for the SmackDown. Actually, it's the Raw and SmackDown, the WWE Unified Tag Team titles. Street Profits came out there. They got their entrance. The other teams were sitting around at ringside, which is very different from how these gauntlet matches usually go. I do not remember the last time all the teams were sitting out there at ringside. Brawling Brutes came out there. The first match was Brawling Brutes versus Street Profits. I'm not the biggest fan of these gauntlet matches. I just feel like they tend to take up too much TV time. You can establish number one contenders in a much quicker fashion. But this one actually moved at a faster pace than usual. And that's because we had basically a series of squash matches or glorified squash matches. Street Profits were out in like 2 to 3 minutes. I was surprised. Dawkins pinned by Sheamus with the bro kick. It went like 2 minutes. Now, could this be a setup for a Street Profits heel turn? Maybe. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I did not see this one coming. The Street Profits being out there very quickly. Owens and Zayn were watching backstage. Luke Gallows came in, went right after Sheamus, but then Sheamus power slammed Gallows. Carl Anderson tagged in, started gloating, and that's when Sheamus took advantage, pinned Anderson with the bro kick. Very odd that the babyface Anderson and Gallows would start gloating and that would be their downfall, but whatever. LWO was in next. They did get in a little bit of offense, but then Ridge Holland tagged in, pinned Del Toro. Next team in, Hit Row, and you blinked, you missed it. Because Top Dollar came in, immediately pinned by Sheamus with the bro kick. Actually, Sheamus hit the bro kick and Ridge pinned Top Dollar. Michael Cole, with a little dig at Top Dollar, said, "Thanks for coming, Flop Dollar." Man, if WWE does another round of cuts soon, Hit Row, you guys better not pick up your phones. That's all I'm saying. Last team was Pretty Deadly, and you could pretty much know where this was going. Pretty Deadly did take control for a while. Sheamus got the hot tag in. Wilson was able to avoid the bro kick, but they did not avoid the beats, and Sheamus gave both of them many beats. In fact, I think he did like 30 beats. But then Prince with the blind tag. Sheamus did not know about this tag. And Prince came off the top with a leg drop and pinned Sheamus to give Pretty Deadly the win. Pretty Deadly, no surprise that they won this. And it was the usual blind tag finish, which we see every week. Like, tell me a week that doesn't go by where a match ends when somebody tags in and the opposition did not know about the tag. It happens so much. Pretty Deadly wins. They'll get the opportunity in London, which makes sense to me. And their heels going up against babyface champions. It all makes sense, but I would have preferred just like a 4-way tag match. Pretty Deadly wins, and you didn't have to bury 4 other teams, basically. After the commercial was over, Pretty Deadly was still in the ring, celebrating. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out there for a promo. They did not expect Pretty Deadly to pick up the win, but one thing that they did want to say was that Pretty Deadly had overstayed their welcome and should get the hell out of the ring. Pretty Deadly bragged about beating 5 teams, and their hair was still drier than Sami Zayn's hair. They said they're going to celebrate even longer after they win the tag team titles. Owens and Zayn had enough, so they ran down there, and Pretty Deadly retreated. This went on a bit long, too. Like, did we really need another segment with the tag team division after the Gauntlet match? I mean, they could have done this on next week's SmackDown or something. I don't know. The whole thing just felt like it was way longer than it needed to be, in my opinion. We had Zelina Vega up against IYO Sky. Zelina Vega wanted a handshake. IYO Sky just pie-faced her. Zelina went right after IYO, and IYO was in a bit of trouble, but then Bayley provided some interference. However, it backfired. IYO perhaps had the match won, but the referee could not make the count because he was busy dealing with Bayley. And then Zelina Vega took advantage, pinned IYO Sky with the 619, and the dissension between Bayley and IYO heading into Money in the Bank continues. This was fine. This was what it needed to be, getting Zelina in a position to build up some momentum, and you continue to tease the split of Bayley and IYO Sky. Break up that act. I think it needs to be done. I was fine with this. No issues here. Backstage, Roman Reigns said that he's still the tribal chief and Jey Uso should be reaching out to him. And Roman Reigns ordered Heyman to go speak with Jey Uso. We had Bianca Belair backstage wanting to know, where is her rematch? She confronted Adam Pearce. Pearce said he's still working on it, but did not have an answer for her. And Bianca said she's been trying to do things the right way, and now she's going to do it her way. Now, I have to say, I kind of sympathize with Bianca Belair. Why is Adam Pearce taking so long to make a decision here? He had a full week to figure this out, and he still doesn't have an answer. This seems like piss poor management to me. I'm with Bianca Belair. If they're going with a heel turn, so far I'm siding with Bianca. Sorry. Like, you got to make it feel like Adam Pearce is doing the best he can, and Bianca is acting out of line. I don't feel that here. And they're saying that maybe this is slow burn, but so far, I'm with Bianca. I think Adam Pearce is in the wrong, quite frankly. Anyways, we had another backstage segment with Bayley and IYO. Bayley was trying to say Money in the Bank is every woman for herself. Shotzi showed up and said if it wasn't for Bayley, she would have been in the ladder match. And Bayley said Shotzi doesn't belong in the ladder match, and Shotzi challenged Bayley to a match where Bayley's spot in Money in the Bank would be on the line, and Bayley accepted this match. So next week it's Bayley versus Shotzi. Shotzi, with Bray Wyatt not being around, Shotzi is the new eater of pinfalls. I would be very surprised if Shotzi beat Bayley because, I mean, Bayley and IYO in the ladder match, and are they going to get along? Are they going to be enemies? Like, that's interesting. Shotzi being in the match, not so much. Do not expect Shotzi to pick up the win here. But that match will be taking place on next week's show. We had the Grayson Waller Effect with Charlotte Flair. Grayson's music is starting to catch on with me. I will give him that much. Charlotte had quite the outfit on, and Grayson brought up how Charlotte ended Asuka's undefeated streak back in 2018 at WrestleMania 34. But it's not the same Asuka. Charlotte agreed with this, but said that she does have Asuka's number. And that's when Bianca Belair interrupted because she's taking matters into her own hands. She confronted Charlotte. Charlotte said she doesn't make the rules. She doesn't politic. The line starts with her. That's the bottom line. And Charlotte said she did not get her rematch with Rhea Ripley. So as far as she's concerned, they both are owed rematches. Bianca said the difference, though, is that Charlotte took like 3 months off. She's been there trying to get the rematch, doing the right thing, and Charlotte just steps in. Charlotte said that she did not run away when she left. She took her time off, just like she came back 14 other times, became a 14-time champion. But Bianca's response to that was that she was the longest reigning champion. She did not need to be a 14-time champion because she had one long reign as champion. Again, I agree with Bianca. Like Ric Flair, Charlotte, they win the title 14 times, but they also lose the title 14 times. I'm more impressed with one dominant run. I'm with Bianca so far. How are they going to do this heel Bianca if that's even what this is? Like, people are maybe jumping to conclusions. I don't know if it's a slow build. I don't know what's going on here, but I think Bianca is making great points here. And she said, put some respect on her name. And I'm with her. She had this long run. She should be getting a rematch. Charlotte just shows up and automatically gets a rematch. Like, I get it, but they could be going with this for the long haul. This might be a 6-month process. Maybe Bianca gets screwed. Maybe it is like Bret Hart in 1997, and she just gets screwed over time after time and starts getting whinier and whinier. Maybe they'll make it work. We'll see. But anyways, for now, I think it could be a hard sell because I think that the crowd is still very much behind Bianca. There's no sign that the crowd is starting to turn against her. So that's something they really got to work on here. And Charlotte, like, they like Charlotte, but they also boo her from time to time, and it might be a challenge. Bianca said regardless of who wins between Asuka and Charlotte, she is calling her shot, and she wants the next opportunity. Backstage, we had Paul Heyman meeting up with Jey Uso. He apologized to Jey, but had to make it clear that Jimmy Uso meant to super kick Jey. Jimmy doesn't miss super kicks. He's that good. It was intentional. Jey said he is sorry. He's sorry, but nothing has changed. If Jimmy Uso is out and Jey Uso is in, that also means Paul Heyman is out of the Bloodline. And then we had our next segment, which was a mixed tag team match. AJ Styles and Michin against Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Very basic match here. Styles perhaps had the match won with the Styles Clash, but Scarlett broke up the pin. She started flirting with AJ Styles, and Styles had to remind her, he's married, bitch. She slapped him, and then Michin pulled Scarlett to the outside of the ring. Styles was distracted by all this, and Karrion Kross took advantage, picked up the win with the Kross jacket. Actually, no. He did not get the win with the submission. Styles managed to get out of that, but then Kross picked up the win via pinfall. Not really sure what to say about this. They're trying to keep Karrion Kross as a thing, but I don't know if he can really rebuild that momentum that he once had. Just seems like it's a bit of a long shot at this point. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I guess this feud continues for the time being. Backstage, Cameron Grimes talked about how he was having fun since moving to SmackDown, but then he was quickly attacked by Baron Corbin. This feud still continues. Baron Corbin is not turning babyface. Why, I don't know. Like, he should be the lone wolf again. I saw the attire he was wearing on NXT, and that was awful. Like, boxer shorts. What the hell was he wearing on NXT? We need Baron Corbin to have a cool outfit and be the lone wolf as a babyface again, coming out there almost like a Goldberg type character where he just comes out there and kicks ass. That's what we need. I'm tired of heel Corbin. It needs to end. Seriously. We had Rey Mysterio come into the ring for a promo. He said that he's proud of reforming the LWO. He introduced Santos Escobar, and Escobar cut this nice little babyface promo talking about how he worked hard, made sacrifices, and he talked about Money in the Bank. He's going to be fighting for Rey Mysterio. He'll be fighting for his familia and his Raza, the people. LA Knight then interrupted, got a massive pop, shoved Rey Mysterio down. Santos went after LA Knight. LA Knight went to the outside. And then after the commercial break, we had our match. Crowd was chanting LA Knight, was back and forth a little bit. Santos went for a victory roll, but LA Knight grabbed the rope, tried to cheat to win, but Santos managed to reverse the momentum and score the 1-2-3 over LA Knight. So yes, LA Knight loses once again. I mean, it could be a scenario where he is going to win Money in the Bank. We've seen this in prior years where the Money in the Bank holder loses heading into the match. It's definitely happened many times. It might be another case here. I'm not a fan of it, by the way. Like, I don't think you should have the Money in the Bank winner go on a losing streak when you're trying to build them up as potentially the next world champion. Just not something I would do personally, but WWE likes to book that way. They figure, well, this guy's going to be the contract holder. We might as well beat him and beat him and beat him until he wins the briefcase. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. And thank you, Mikey B and TJS, for your super chats. TJS, you said save it for the end, so I'm not sure why you're reminding me of it. I do have it starred. StreamYard does have a feature now where the super chats get starred to ensure that people don't forget about them during live stream. So shout out to StreamYard. Now, we'll move on here. Rey Mysterio ran back out because LA Knight jumped Santos after his loss, and LA Knight took his leave. So got a little bit of his heat back, even though he's getting cheered like a babyface. We had our final segment of the evening, which was the decision of Jey Uso. It started with him walking backstage. He saw Sami Zayn. The crowd was chanting Usi. Roman Reigns made his entrance, which was very long, seemed even longer than usual. They were really dragging this out for all it was worth. And then after the break, we finally had Jey Uso show up. Roman Reigns asked the question, is Jey in or is he out? That was the big question. Why is TJS wishing me a happy birthday when my birthday's November 22nd, you stupid son of a bitch? Anyways, enough of TJS. We're going to put him in mute here because he's causing problems. He's a troll. We got to slay the troll here. We had Jey Uso once again making it clear that it's either Paul Heyman or it's him. And Reigns had to state that when Jey is the tribal chief one day, he can pick the wise man. They've been grooming Jey now for 3 years. He became main event Jey Uso. He's meant to lead, but just not yet. Reigns said the problem is not Paul Heyman. It's Jey's brother, Jimmy. And that's when Jimmy showed up. Jimmy got in the ring. And then we had a tense moment between the Usos as Roman Reigns said that he's the wings. Jimmy is the anchor. Jey cannot be a tribal chief and a twin at the same time. And then they also added that when Jey became the right-hand man, it was Jimmy that had a problem with that. He was the only one that had a problem with it. So things got tense between the Usos. Jey asked if it was true. Jimmy said yes, it was true. But he never doubted Jey. However, Jey got frustrated. He said that he's been trying to compete with Jimmy. Jimmy was the prom king, and Jimmy's injury a few years back turned out to be a blessing in disguise because Jey was able to step up. He got to main event because of Roman Reigns, and then he made his decision that we were all waiting for. He said, Jimmy Uso is out of the bloodline, but he's out too. Jey then super kicked Roman Reigns to leave the bloodline officially. Solo Sikoa tried to intervene. He got taken out with a super kick. Then the big pop. Both Usos gave Roman Reigns the double super kick, and the place came unglued. Usos left the ring. Reigns was laid out as SmackDown went off the air. What a segment. And yes, Jey even brought up the shoot named Joshua, how he's heard it his whole life. Fantastic segment here. Excellent stuff as usual. Love the storytelling, the visuals. Everybody did great here. Roman Reigns did not miss a step, even though the crowd was starting to do what chants, and that was kind of annoying, but he powered through it. That's how a pro does it. Props to Roman Reigns. Now, let's get to some of the super chats here. Virtue sent in a $2 super chat, says, I love everyone. I'm sure you do. Thank you for that, Virtue. Building Nexus with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, still not sure Jey is the next Cena. I don't think anybody's called Jey the next John Cena, but we'll see what happens here. There's definitely a lot of interesting ways this storyline can go. And TJS, we're finally getting to his super chat. He sent in $5. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, save this for the end, which I am. Bloodline is the best story in wrestling, but does it need the title? Cody has cooled off, and TJS has changed his mind. He should have won at WrestleMania. Well, you can argue that, but at the same time, as I mentioned the other week, the title represents being the head of the table. Like, that is the power in WWE, that championship. So if Reigns lost the title, then all of a sudden he doesn't really have that power of being at the top. With the title, he's clearly the guy. And now you got Jimmy trying to take that top spot, Jey trying to take that top spot. I mean, it just makes it all that more impactful. So yeah, maybe they could have had Reigns lose the title, but in a way, I feel like it almost makes it better now because Reigns has that title and that power that comes along with it. But it's definitely up for debate. Mike B sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Mike. Much appreciated. Says, Jimmy and Jey, the biggest babyface tag team next to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens now. What a great ending. Yeah, it's really interesting now, and I still think we're going to see some twists and turns as we get into the summer. We're definitely going to see a tag match, I think, at some point. I don't know if it's going to be Money in the Bank. It's not really clear. Like, we could see Jey versus Roman Reigns for the championship. We could see Jimmy versus Roman Reigns for the championship. We'll probably see both. And I was still wondering if we're going to get that special guest referee match. Maybe Roman Reigns will say, Jey, you have one more chance to redeem yourself. And they make Jey the referee and try to milk this for one more segment or two. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of ways it can go. TJS sent in a $2 super chat, says, how can Roman Reigns and Uso be on the same brand once the story ends? Might be a while until the story ends, so it's hard to say what their relationship's going to be like, but I could see this playing out for several more months. Like, I don't see the story ending anytime soon. It might not end until WrestleMania next year. This could be going on for quite a while. And like Virtue said, Cody might never win it. I know people are saying Cody has to finish the story, but as I've been saying, this Uso storyline with Roman Reigns, like, it can play out for several months and the fans might want to see something else. Will Solo eventually break away from Roman Reigns? Like, there's a lot of different ways this can go. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what's coming up next, what they're going to do for SummerSlam, what they're going to do in the fall. When will Roman Reigns lose that title? I don't think it's happening until WrestleMania. I do think Roman will get past Jimmy and Jey, but the fans, if they react loud enough to Jey or Jimmy, the merchandise is strong enough. Like, who knows where this is going? But I still think like Solo is eventually going to break away from Roman Reigns. But this is a storyline that's probably going to play out for several months now. We got plenty of time and plenty of opportunities to discuss it and debate where it should go. Cody Rhodes, did they make the right call or not? I think the jury's still out on it. Anyways, ending of this show was fantastic. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Solo is a better option to beat Roman Reigns than Jey. Well, ultimately, I think it will determine how this goes based off of crowd reactions. And also, is Solo Sikoa a guy that they can rely on in a main event position? I mean, so far, he's passing all the tests, I think, but we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Will they really trust that Solo is the guy to carry the company? Can he cut the promos? Can he do all that stuff? But at some point, you got to try and build a new star, right? I mean, with Batista, he was definitely a big guy. He had the right look. He was a bit green, but they went with him. And he ended up becoming one of their biggest stars. And I kind of agree with Brian as far as my letter grade for the show goes. I thought most of SmackDown felt like filler and was maybe even below average, but the final segment was brilliant. I mean, usual high quality with these guys, and they did the big angle at the end. And that really brought it up for me. I mean, without that final segment, I was thinking B- or C+ even. But because of the final segment, I bump it all the way up to a B+. Really good SmackDown. Final segment was A+ for sure. 100% worth checking out. And the rest of SmackDown was decent, but nothing too noteworthy. So anyways, guys, my thoughts on all that. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. And I'm sure on the NoDQ review this Sunday night, we'll be talking more about it. And again, quick plug for Jeff Michin. Saturday night, Collision's debut. I will be on after Collision is over to discuss the show. But during Collision, the Jeff Michin Network crew will be doing a live watch-along. So if you like watch-alongs, if that's your thing, check that out. It'll be on the No DQ channel. They'll be discussing the show live. And then after Collision goes off the air, I will be jumping on the live stream to give my thoughts. So you will hear from me, my full thoughts on Collision Saturday night after the show ends. Enjoy it if you're watching it. Very curious to see what is going to happen with all that. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Much appreciated. Says, Solo will branch out to be a big single star. It's in his name, Solo. Eventually, he has to go solo. Take the training wheels off. I think if everything goes according to plan, that is probably what will happen. Like, I've said it for weeks and months now, actually. I think this is going to end with Solo leaving Roman Reigns as well, and perhaps being the guy to dethrone Roman and not Cody Rhodes. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe The Rock comes back. Maybe Roman beats all three Uso brothers, and The Rock has to come back, and maybe Roman beats him too, and Roman holds the title for another year. I mean, it could go any number of ways, but I do think Solo will break off on his own before this all ends. It's just a matter of when. So that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much again. Much love and appreciation for your continued viewership and support of NoDQ.com. And of course, remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.